None of these devices are particularly large, nor are they expensive, but there's a reason I purchased and used each one of them. And no, it's not just because it makes me feel like
James Bond.
If you consider yourself even the slightest bit paranoid about your privacy and security, you're definitely going to enjoy learning about these 6 little-known security tools that I use and recommend. Welcome to All Things Secured. My name's Josh, and here's a little known fact about me. While living as an expat in another country, local police ran across this particular device in my home, and among many other reasons, became convinced that I was really a spy. Thankfully, my life is not that interesting, but some of my gadgets apparently are. So let me introduce you to 6 of my favorite and explain how and why I use each of them. The first is a super cheap product that I bought off of Amazon. I don't know if you remember back in 2016, there was this picture of Mark Zuckerberg that made its rounds that showed that even on his laptop, he had covered up both his camera and his microphone with a piece of tape. You could do the same thing just using a piece of tape, or you could get something really cheap like this. You'll notice that I've got one of these for my phone. I put it on my iPad, and I even have one for my webcam that I have. This is actually a plastic one that's specifically designed for my Logitech webcam on my desktop computer. But it basically ensures that nobody is able to see me or have access to my cameras unless I want them to. So I literally have to take off the sticker or flip open that camera on the Logitech, that cover on my camera, in order to use that camera. And it's just, you know, one of those extra privacy measures to make sure that nobody's able to just see me whenever they want to. Second is a data blocker. This little USB thing is quite interesting, and it's meant to protect you from something known as juice jacking. If you've never heard of juice jacking, you know how when you go to any of these public places and you want to charge your phone and they've got the USB port that you can just plug in. The problem is that our phones charge and do data transfer using the same plug-in. So you could plug in, and there are some of these places where you could actually get malware or anything. They can even sometimes download some of your stuff depending on your OS and depending on how you have your phone configured, just by plugging into their USB port. So what this data blocker does is it allows you to plug into here and then straight into any USB port, and now it blocks any data transfer. The only thing that this USB now does is charge your device, whether that's your tablet or your phone. Again, these are super cheap, and I just keep these in my backpack wherever I'm going, so that way if I do need to charge my phone or my tablet, I just plug into this data blocker and then plug right into the wall. This third little piece is one you've heard me talk about a lot, which is a 2FA key. Obviously, you can use an app for two-factor authentication, which is just that extra layer of protection beyond just your password. But a lot of times a 2FA key is actually a USB key, like what you see here. And what that means for me, now that a lot of stuff is migrating over to USB-C, is that I have to keep this extra USB-C dongle to make sure that I can plug into my computer whenever I need it. Now, thankfully, this Yubikey one also has an NFC, so I could tap it on my phone and it will work like that. But I prefer this right here. This is the Yubikey 5CI. It has both USB-C and an Apple charging port, so I could plug it directly into my phone or into my iPad as well, or directly into my computer with the USB-C. So that way, and I keep this on my keychain, that way I can plug it into any device and I don't have to worry about any sort of adapter to keep with me. Before I show you the rest of these gadgets, which, admit it, you're enjoying this, aren't you? So just go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on future security and privacy videos here on All Things Secured. All right, this next one is one you probably don't see very often, and I have a specific use for it. This is the Aegis secure key. It looks very innocuous at first glance, but when you open it up, you see that it's actually a hardware encrypted USB flash drive. I have to type in a number before plugging it in. Now, you can use the USB to charge it, but it won't actually do any sort of data transfer until I type in my 6 to 15 digit or 6 to 16 digit, I'm not sure, code that I set for myself. There's so many really cool security features with this. In addition to to the fact that I can have this self-destruct pin, where if I put in a certain pin, it self-destructs, or after 10 wrong tries, it will automatically wipe it. But this just ensures that nobody who gets this device is able to get what's on it. It's very secure from a hardware perspective, whereas you can't use any sort of key logger to figure out exactly what the pin is, because you're not actually putting in the pin from your computer, you're doing it from the hardware device right here. Now, this thing right here, I actually use to put in what I call my death file. My death file goes on here. That's the file that I keep that has a backup of my passwords, that I export from 1Password, and I put it on here, as well as a copy of my will and all these things, so that if I were to pass away, my wife knows that this device is what she needs to get to in order to get all the files and things that she needs. Or if both of us pass away, that stuff is located in our will with my lawyer so that they can also access this as well. One of the cool new things that I'm testing out, and I'm using it on my phone, it integrates with 1Password, which is my password manager that I use, is something known as a virtual credit card. Now, I use something through privacy.com. You can sign up for a free account there that'll give you 12 different virtual credit cards that you can use per month. Or if you do a pro plan, you can get, I think, 36 credit cards per month on top of 1% cash back. That's not the reason I use it. What I use it for is because virtual credit cards give you the opportunity to create burner credit cards, to create anonymous shopping, where I can shop and use a different name and address than my actual name and address associated with that credit card. And I can even create merchant-specific credit cards. So for example, I've got one credit card that I specifically created for Netflix. I've put a cap of $15 per month that's allowed to be spent on that credit card, and the only time I use it is on Netflix. So if someone were to hack Netflix and find that credit card information, not only are they limited on what they could spend on that credit card, but it's very easy for me to just shut that credit card down and create a new virtual card, and I haven't really lost much privacy, and there's not much risk. And so now I'm not spreading my actual credit card number all across the internet along with my billing information. I really like this. This is something that I'm going to be creating more videos on in the future, because I think this is huge. I think this is something that's going to help protect us a little bit more for our credit and a lot of the risk that's associated with online shopping. Finally, this may not apply to everyone, but for those of you who are into cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin, Ethereum, so on and so forth, I'm really starting to test out cold storage, right? So I've got this Ledger Nano S right here, as well as the Trezor one, or the Trezor one. I'm not sure exactly how they say it. I've been adding different cryptocurrencies, very small amounts as I test this out, but this is a really interesting way to make sure that I am keeping control of my cryptocurrency and I'm not putting all of that risk into an exchange. What you may not realize is that unlike a bank account that is FDIC insured, meaning that if someone were to hack into that bank or if something were to happen to your money in your savings account, it is backed up by the government. Cryptocurrency doesn't have that. And there have been many cases where an exchange has gone down or there's been a theft at a cryptocurrency exchange, and everybody who had their cryptocurrency kept there lost. All of the Bitcoin or the Ethereum or whatever they had was lost. And that's where cold storage is becoming more and more popular. And like I said, it's somewhat relatively new to me, so I'm not going to comment too much on how it works or what I think about it yet, but this is a new piece of technology that I'm starting to not carry around with me, but I am starting to use, and it's very fascinating and very scary at the same time. If you've used cold storage before, you know what I'm talking about. You feel like you could lose, if you make any sort of mistake, could lose a lot of money. So what do you think? I have affiliate links to each of these devices and services in the description below, and I love learning about fun new gadgets. So if you think I'm missing anything important here, don't just sit there. Let me know what it is in the comments below. I want to try it.